What's up, YouTube? It's Joe Ketchpalia sitting on the couch making some money investing in fractional real estate online as usual. Today, I'm just doing my update for the 52-week challenge, telling you what properties that I bought this week. Only pieces of four properties and then two notes, but I'll go into the details on those real quick. If you're not familiar with the 52-week challenge, there is a playlist on my channel. So if you click on my YouTube channel, click into the playlist, you can see if you watch the first video on that, it explains what we're doing. You can also just go to the video description to this video, click into the Discord. There's a link to the Discord, and then look at the Discord channel that says 52-week challenge. It'll explain what we're doing here. In addition to that, in the description, there are links to all the sites that I'm currently invested on. Do your own due diligence on those sites. Don't just invest on there because I do. Also, same with these properties. Just because I like a property doesn't mean that you should buy it. You want to do your own due diligence as well. So this is the first one I bought this week. It's a pad split in Decatur, Georgia. 8 bedrooms, 2 baths. It's another one on Mogul. They're only trying to raise 170,000, and they've already raised 133. I think this one's going to sell out real quick. I've done well so far with the pad splits I've bought on there, which is just a rent by the room model if you're not familiar. I did a video on this. It's in the playlist for Mogul if you want to check out this video. I actually did 2, I think, for this one because they released the link early and then did a second, then put out their analysis tab a day or 2 later. But anyway, this is one I think I'm pretty excited about. I actually think I just bought a little piece, but I think I might end up putting a little more in, depending on the timing of money hitting my account. So we'll see. I had a sale on Lofty, and I'm trying to move that money over, but I don't know if it'll be somewhere that I can purchase through Mogul in time or not. So there's that. On ground floor, I only bought pieces of 2 notes. I just had I had something pay off, and it just had the auto investor put $50 in 2 different notes that were available at the time. I'm now up to 130 on there, so that's 130 different notes. I think I've had 38 pay off or something, maybe just 30 of them. On Lofty, I bought a few more tokens in this 445 Lipford Street. It's been full for a while. They had a tenant in it. I think there might have been some update that there was an issue. Oh, no. They're actually it's being pre-marketed because the tenant's going to move out, but so they're already working on the next, getting that next tenant. It's, it hasn't really had any issues. It's just not currently paying any yield because they've been working on refilling the operating reserve. Anyway, I think it's a really great discount to the real world value. And so one option when it becomes vacant, maybe we vote to sell it and get a significant pop. That's one of the things I think that's potential. And I also think there's a chance that Alec takes over management of this. It's not one of the Yom managed properties, but it is one that, I think he was looking at some in Memphis. So I think it's possible. In either case, this is really just an equity play. I think that, buying it at the price that I did, that it's really hard to get hurt, right? I think it's worth significantly more than what I'm paying for it. And so even if it goes a little while without yielding anything, once it does either sell or, it starts yielding again, I think the token price, once it reflects the actual value, it'll be one I'll do pretty well on. Let's see. I think this is actually the first one that I bought a couple tokens in when I started my discounted token strategy, way before I really had a good sense of how big of a discount you could get. This is still pretty good. It's obviously not the cheapest ones that I'm buying, but it's also, not in a lot of distress. So let's see. I bought a little bit more of LeClaire, the strip center, but it's not purchased yet. I talked a little bit more about this last week. So if you look at last week's update, I think it's better than me just talking about it all over again. But basically right now, you're potentially just buying $50 in cash for $34.68. I've just been buying whenever it dips, like actually to 30, right around 30, maybe 31. But just picking up tokens slowly. When you do buy them, it moves the price a decent amount. So not as much because there are a lot of these tokens, but you can't buy too many without affecting. And that's why you see some. Well, this was a weird, having this big sale, but here you can see it's moving quite a bit. And then I bought a few more tokens in Sarah Ave. This is one that was managed by Yom. It actually technically still is. There's a governance vote out right now to move it to have Earl manage it for which is Ecosystems LLC. I think there's a really good chance he's going to take over management of this. If he does, I expect it to do. I expect him to do a good job with this, like he's done with everything else. And I mean, there's just no reason to have such a low token price on a property that has been rented. And it's got a tiny yield right now, but this is just because of Yom's profit first system. Um, I don't know. I just I've talked about that plenty, but that's why this yield is so low, right? I mean, it should be, um, either I think that I don't know. But I think this will end up doing significantly better under Earl. So hopefully that vote passes, and then I'll get back to making some money with this one. I had been yielding. It wasn't a huge yield before, but it had been paying out a yield. Maybe we'll have to like replenish an operating reserve, and it'll stop that again. Whether or not it does, start paying out again quickly, or it takes a little while. The bottom line is, I think looking at this price compared to the real world value is just too good of a deal to pass up. And even if it took a couple years before we either sell it or the token price catches up to what the value of the property is, either way, I think that it'll be a really nice return on investment. That's again, just because I think that and I'm buying this does not mean that you should. You want to look into it yourself, do your own due diligence, and decide like is that accurate, right? As much as I'm trying to share the way that I look at properties and the things that I'm buying, I'm not trying to tell you what to buy, and so you want to check that out yourself. Um, and that's it. That's everything that I bought this week. It was a little bit less active. I actually had quite a few more sales than purchases, so I'm starting to accumulate a little bit of cash in my account. But I think that going forward, I'm looking forward to more stuff coming out on Mogul. I think that I've really liked the properties that I've seen on there lately. I mean, I say that, and the most recent one I'm very happy with. The one before that I opted not to buy, but I think that on average I've been very happy with the deals that they're showing. I think that all the turmoil on Lofty is sort of creating opportunities to make some money there. I think a lot of these properties are doing poorly because it's so unclear. The token prices are really low because it's so unclear what the actual situation with the properties are. I mean, on Sarah, let's see, when's the last time we got an actual update about what was going on? Um, yeah, this is the vote to switch to the new manager. Before that, we got something about the tenant's notice to vacate, I guess. So that, um, yeah, they just again notice to move out. Before that, they just told us about okay, we implemented the profit first system, even though it had already been, voted on all the way back in November. So we really didn't know until getting that notice that the tenant was moving out. We didn't know if rent was being collected. We haven't had any sort of updates as far as expenses. And so I think that that's really hurt the price, right? Like people um, don't want to invest in something if they don't actually have, if they don't have some transparency into the income and expenses each month. And we just haven't seen that. All we know is that, once they took over, the yield shrunk, um, with no real. I mean, I understand what they were doing, but without knowing, what's going on in the background, right? And so I think moving it over to a manager who's going to be a lot more transparent. I don't actually think the finances are going to be that much different, right? I think if you're going to have a tenant, they're going to pay probably about the same. Expenses I don't think will be much different. But we'll actually see the money coming in and out each month. We'll know when things come up. We'll get to vote on how to fix issues. And I think even just having that transparency should change should change what this token price is. I mean, there's just no reason, once this property is, um, once we have a new tenant in it and we understand the actual situation with the property, I'd expect there to be a decent pop at this price, as I expect with Peoria. All the ones all the properties that are going over to new management, I think will benefit from a little bit of excitement about, actually getting updates on the properties on a regular basis and knowing what's going on, not just being told it's stable and then later finding out, well, it's stable, but we haven't collected rent through CHA for, since we took over the property 4 months ago, which is not this property. That happened on another one. But it's just an example of the lack of transparency that we're getting on some of these. So that's why I'm pretty optimistic about this one and about some of the others that I already own. I think the change in management can only help. I've gone back and forth on whether to buy into some of the other ones now or just wait until the vote results are out and and then just picking and choosing, because there are just so many that I think there's opportunities in. Um, and I think I'd rather, be certain that that vote's gone through. Now, this one I already own some. I'm the one who put out the governance vote. Uh, Based on the how well some of the other ones have already done, I'd expect this one to go through as well. So it is, which is one of the reasons I felt perfectly comfortable buying some more of this. That and the price had already also dipped a little bit more, right? I bought into this little dip here. Um, but yeah, that's everything I bought this week. Uh, Please do share what you bought this week if you're not comfortable actually talking about individual properties because you don't want the competition in that property, which could be the case with property, right? Could be bid up prices. You could just say, hey, I'm buying Midwest single families on Lofty, or if you talk about buying on Mogul, I think you can tell us exactly the property because the price is the price, and we're just all you either buy it or you don't. Same thing on ground floor, right? With any of those, or any of the other sites. Just even if it's a site I'm not buying on. I know someone in the chat's been talking about concrete quite a bit, or in the Discord, and that's it's one that wouldn't let me on right now for some reason. They said I have to wait, but they put me on a waiting list. But any other site that you're invested on, feel free to just drop a comment in the to this video or into the 52-week challenge section of the Discord. Because it is, I think one of the main benefits of having this community is that we can talk about what we're doing, share strategies. I think especially on Lofty, having a common ownership with some other people that we can propose votes together with and whatnot. I think we've really seen over the past couple of weeks how powerful that can be. Um, as far as changing the direction of some properties on the platform. In the Peoria vote that went through already for the management change, they had, it was like 92% voted for the change. I don't think that would have happened if there weren't a whole bunch of us talking about both on Lofty's Discord here. I've had chats with people in all sorts of other venues as well, and I know lots of other people are too. I mean, I'm not taking credit for that, for having put this together. There's a whole bunch of people I think that have decided to be a lot more proactive and try to make some changes. And I think that's super helpful. And that's just why, I want to just keep sharing this journey with all of you, and have you do the same to the extent that you're comfortable. And if not, if you just want to be a lurker, I notice we do have quite a few lurkers in the Discord on a regular basis as well. And that's perfectly fine. In any case, that's it for me for today. Until next time, I'm going to keep making mistakes so that you don't have to.